Good, happy Sunday morning, October 4th, 2020. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Sunday morning edition of Politics with Riley King. And on this week of Politics with Riley King, we have a lot of political news to get to, so let's get it kicked off with this Sunday edition of Politics with Riley King, October 4th, 2020. Welcome to October, everyone. Hopefully you're all having a great Sunday, and I hope you enjoyed this edition. Let's begin. So, you're probably wondering where we're standing and stuff. We're in a different part. We rearranged our studio, and we made a political corner. This is where we'll be doing our Politics with Riley King broadcast right over here. So let's head on over. So this will be our new area where we'll do Politics with Riley King. I hope you all enjoy it. So let's begin this edition of Politics with Riley King in our new studio area. First up, chaotic 2020 campaign thrust into more turmoil with Trump positive COVID-19 diagnosed. Analysts say attention intensively focused on president's handling of the pandemic. Yesterday, Bernie Sanders campaigned in New Hampshire for Biden, says Trump's diagnosis should be a wake-up call. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
I'm your Central Roofing foreman.
And I'm customer service.
And I'm Dean Solar.
We're the Central Roofing team. Call us today.
Century Roofing, we got you covered.
Bernie Sanders, two-time winner of the First in the Nation primary, returned to the New Hampshire campaign trail Saturday to give a boost to the man who ultimately defeated him in the Democratic contest.
We are living, in my view, in the most dangerous moment in the modern history of this country. We've got a pandemic, we have an economic meltdown, we have a struggle for racial justice, we're dealing with climate change, and there is no doubt in my mind that Joe Biden will be a much better president than has been Donald Trump.
Sanders may have fought to the very end of the primary process if not for the COVID-19 pandemic upending American life. In a one-on-one interview with News 9, the Vermont senator says President Donald Trump's positive COVID test should be a wake-up call for everyone.
It is. Look, we certainly wish the President and the First Lady a full and speedy recovery. But it does tell us that this horrible pandemic can hit anybody.
Before he fell ill, President Trump was doing his best to link Biden to the progressive agenda championed by Sanders. But Bernie says he's setting aside a lot of differences to get behind the Democratic nominee.
I ran against Biden, but number one, on many of the economic issues, as I tried to indicate today, Joe Biden is pretty strong.
Sanders says he was all in for Hillary Clinton in 2016, but he knows some of his most motivated supporters did not join him in voting for her, one of the difference makers in the election. He's urging them not to do the same thing to Joe Biden in 2020.
It's important that my supporters, that all of the supporters of all the other Democratic candidates, I think there were 23 of them, come in and play as an important role in seeing that Biden is elected.
In Lebanon, Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Jill Biden says thoughts, prayers with President Trump and Melania. Biden tests negative for COVID-19 after President tests positive. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Andy Hirschberger.
Community is about coming together in times of need, which is why all 7 schools in the Community College System of New Hampshire are offering tuition assistance for eligible New Hampshire residents financially impacted by COVID-19. Learn more at ccsnh.edu/fall.
At a Manchester event for Granite State Women for Biden, Dr. Jill Biden, the wife of Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden, spoke first about President Donald Trump's positive test for the coronavirus.
Let me start by sending my thoughts and prayers for the health and safety of the President and the First Lady after they tested positive for COVID-19.
Dr. Biden and her husband have both tested negative for the coronavirus and said this recent revelation should bring all Americans closer together.
Joe and I pray that they will quickly recover and make a full recovery. And this is just not a matter of politics. It's a matter of health and respect.
This event itself was very socially distanced. Masks were worn, and there was a podium wiped down between speakers. Many today spoke about the importance of the women's vote in the upcoming election, but at the center was the issue of health care and COVID-19.
He has a plan for all Americans to end this pandemic, to rebuild, to reimagine a future that's better than ever. But he can't do it without you.
Dr. Biden has another event scheduled for later today in New Hampshire on the seacoast. Reporting live, I'm Andy Hirschberger, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Allies of Trump in New Hampshire say they're confident he'll recover from COVID-19. Lewandowski says President will still find ways to connect with voters. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Adam Sexton.
Why choose Century Roofing? You've met my team, the best in the business. Is a lifetime warranty good enough for you? And payment options. Financing is available, and we accept all credit cards.
The news of COVID-19 positive diagnoses for President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump provided a shocking Friday morning wake-up call for the country and drew reactions of sympathy and support from Trump allies in New Hampshire.
I think I can speak for everyone in America and around the world. We want to wish this president and his wife a speedy recovery. He's a fighter. This will not deter him from continuing to do his job. He has all the resources necessary to continue to be our President of the United States.
Corey Lewandowski, Trump's original campaign manager, says the president will still find ways to connect with voters. State Rep Al Baldessaro says he believes the president will make a speedy recovery.
I was kind of shocked at it, but the president's a tough guy. He'll handle this.
Governor Chris Sununu expressed New Hampshire's well wishes for the president and First Lady and said these positive tests are a stark reminder of the dangers of COVID-19.
This virus is very real and can hit anyone at any time. A lot of the precautions that the president and the White House took, one way or another, this virus has a way of breaking through at times. And so, again, around this state in particular, wear your mask, maintain the social distancing.
So now the entire nation is essentially in wait-and-see mode. This virus obviously takes time to overcome, but for now, Gene, Trump's closest allies in New Hampshire believe he's going to power through this.
And Adam, was Corey Lewandowski in close contact with President Trump at all over the last few days?
He actually was, Gene. He flew on Air Force One with President Trump to Duluth, Minnesota for a rally on Wednesday. He was in close proximity to the president, and he told us today he was planning to get a COVID-19 test at some point today. Reporting live in the newsroom, Adam Sexton, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Campaign events involving President Trump First Family move virtual or are postponed. The President, Donald Trump, First Lady Melania Trump, test positive for COVID-19. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Tim Callery.
Our local community with tuition assistance at all our schools for eligible New Hampshire residents financially impacted by COVID-19. Apply for tuition assistance today at ccsnh.edu/fall.
President Trump's COVID-19 diagnosis could put a roadblock in his team's campaign strategy, according to political analyst Scott Spradling.
The big question marks are, how do you run a campaign if the candidate is sidelined for health reasons?
Spradling says we could see more surrogates out on the trail.
If he gets sick, then all bets are off with what he might have been doing versus what he would do in the future. If he remains asymptomatic, I think what we would see is a return to what he's been doing all along.
We really don't know how sick the president is. We don't know how big this cluster around him is going to be.
Neil Levesque, executive director of the New Hampshire Institute of Politics, had his own bout with COVID-19. He says if the president were to experience symptoms, his recovery process could slow the speed of his campaign.
And it wasn't just the period when you have the fevers and all of the symptoms. It's for a long period of time afterwards when you just don't have the strength to just take a walk. Hopefully the president is going to get through this okay. But it is a factor here as we're so close in such a close election with so much happening. This is another big variable that's been thrown into this election.
And just this afternoon, the Trump campaign announced that previously scheduled events involving President Trump are either being postponed or moved virtually. In the meantime, political analysts say, as for the Biden campaign, we can expect much of the same socially distanced public events following COVID-19 guidelines, as well as virtual events. Reporting live, I'm Tim Callery, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. The vice presidential debate will continue as scheduled, and it will be coming this coming week. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
Turning now to the presidential campaign entering its last 4 weeks, upended because of the president's illness. The vice presidential debate still going ahead as scheduled on Wednesday, but with at least one change. ABC's Andrew Dimber joins us from Washington with more on that part of the story. Andrew, good morning.
And good morning, Whit. The timing of the president's situation here really affecting both campaigns down the final stretch here. After the president tested positive for COVID-19 shortly after his debate with Joe Biden, now for the upcoming vice presidential debates, there's a renewed emphasis on safety. Campaigns upended as the president remains hospitalized for COVID-19 this morning. For Trump, that means no more signature in-person rallies for now, while Joe Biden has pulled all negative ads. Both candidates now forced to reimagine their campaigns and reach out to voters virtually. While Trump delivered this message from Walter Reed Hospital, Biden back in Delaware for a digital town hall with union workers over the weekend.
A little bit of a spot here because I don't want to be attacking the president and the first lady.
And as he was leaving evening mass in Wilmington, the former VP telling reporters that he was not tested Saturday for the coronavirus, but that he will be sometime today.
We're not tested today. Can you be tomorrow?
With the campaign promising in a new statement to release the results of every COVID-19 test Biden takes. With President Trump off the road and battling the virus, his campaign says it will still move forward with in-person events as early as next week, calling it Operation MAGA. Meanwhile, a Trump re-election bus tour also kicked off this weekend as scheduled, with top surrogates gathering indoors, few wearing masks. And in what has already been a wild race for the White House, shrouded with uncertainties in the midst of a pandemic, the running mates are readying for a political showdown of their own, as Senator Kamala Harris prepares to take the debate stage against Vice President Mike Pence later in the week. She made a stop in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Do the work that is necessary to continue to fight for our ideals.
For Pence, he's pressing pause on the stumping. He'll be back out on the trail next week. In light of President Trump testing positive for COVID-19, sources tell ABC News Harris and Pence will sit 12 feet apart after the Biden campaign requested more space during their debate.
And there's been at least one notable shift in safety protocols from the Trump re-election team after some staffers and surrogates were not wearing masks in Iowa. They did start to wear them on the second part of their Team Trump bus tour. Dan?
Andrew Dibbert, thank you so much to talk about here. So let's bring in our chief anchor, George Stephanopoulos, who's going to be hosting This Week later this morning. George, good morning to you. So, cold, hard political question here. How is this likely to play politically for the president? Is it likely to garner a lot of sympathy for him or highlight a lot of the criticisms of his handling of the pandemic?
Short answer is who knows. We've never faced a situation like this before. We've never had a president facing a personal health crisis just a month away from the final votes in a re-election campaign. But here's what we know about what the situation was before the president announced he had COVID, before he was hospitalized. He was trailing by at least 7 points. In the debate, the first polls that have come out since the debate showed that the president bore most of the blame for what happened there on Tuesday night and was likely losing some support. People believe he lost that debate. We got a new poll out this morning showing that nearly 3 in 4 Americans believe the president didn't take the appropriate precautions, didn't take the chance of getting COVID seriously enough. And we know that with about 30 days to go until the final votes, the president had to do something to turn this around in a world where COVID was the worst possible issue for him all through the course of this campaign. So I think it's hard to imagine that this would help him, but again, we just have no idea how this is being processed in the minds of American people.
This has been a wild year, so who knows what's going to happen next, as you said at the beginning of that question. What about for Joe Biden? How tricky a tightrope is this period of time for him?
Well, you see how he's handling it. He came out immediately, wished the president well, but reinforced the message that he's been delivering all along during this campaign. We have to take the pandemic seriously. We have to take social distancing and mask wearing seriously. We can't fix everything else in this country until we get a handle on this pandemic. I think you're going to see him continue to focus on that. Whether we're going to see another debate between Joe Biden and the president, I think is a real open question. The first one's supposed to be on October 15th. It's kind of hard to imagine it's going to take place on the 15th, but we'll have to see.
But meanwhile, we've got the vice presidential debate coming up. Does this now become increasingly significant given the current context?
I think it's possible people will pay a little bit more attention because of the health crisis right now. I think there's no question about that. My guess is it's going to be a more sedate affair than last Tuesday.
Yes. Pretty much anything would be. George Stephanopoulos, thank you very much. I want to remind everybody to watch George's show. Later this morning, he's going to go one-on-one with Trump campaign senior advisor Jason Miller and Biden deputy campaign manager Kate Bedingfield. That's all coming up on This Week right here on ABC. George, thanks.
Well, hey there, G.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. That does it for this Sunday edition of Politics with Riley King. And I hope you all enjoy our new political studio that we built. Again, we will show you it very quickly. As you can see, I hope you all enjoy the political studio. Then right over here on that wall way over there, we have a photo of me and Joe Biden. So yeah. Our new political set. I hope you all enjoy it. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Be back here next Sunday for another edition of Politics with Riley King. And have a great week ahead of you. And have a great rest of your Sunday.